Hello everyone. We keep going on 2020 wave. They keep releasing things that are very, very cool, and it's nice to talk about them. This one is sort of special. It's not functionality within the system, but it's the functionality of the actual client itself. So it's called content responsive or context responsive GUI, or your graphical user interface. So what that means is that the user interface is changing based on what type of context you're in. So how does that work? Simple example here. You have a sales order, and the sales order has sales lines, right? And on the sales line, it looks like this. It's like a box. And the sales line has a menu here, and one of them has, I think, a line. And then you can drop down into various options. And there's availability and some other stuff. Let's say comment. So the line actually, the button here, line, the drop-down button, is talking about the lines in this box. So let's say we have a line here that's item, type item, and it's a chair, right? So I can go and click on the line and go into availability for the chair because I want to know how much I have of each one of the chairs, or this particular chair, I'm sorry, in maybe different locations, or possibly different variants of the chair or whatever. However, if the type here is blank, like nothing, then this here is going to be a comment. So it would be like comment or let's say some free text. Then if I am in this line right now and I go into my line, it doesn't make sense for me to go into an availability list because why would I want to see the availability of a free text? It doesn't make sense. So the context is no longer there for this availability, possibility. So what happens is that this availability here gets grayed out. It's no longer in context. However, comment works for both. You can actually make a comment on a comment. It's possible. So free text can have comments, and of course the item chair can have comments. So it works for both. So the context for comment works for everything. The availability doesn't work for all. Now, as I was playing through this, the context gets a little gray. I was in a free text, and I could actually go into sales prices of free text, which didn't make any sense to me. That's not a good context. So I'm not sure if Microsoft finally tuned the context there, but the idea is great. So I hope they can do that in more areas where if you're in a particular field, you should only see the things that really matter to that field rather than everything that matters to any field that you have on screen. Because that's just too confusing. So check it out. So let's take a look at something that's really neat, and I like when they change the application to be more user-friendly. It's amazing that we get 2 times a year just updates that improve the functionality of the core application. So if I go into a sales order, so this is context-driven, absolutely fantastic. And I get here into a particular sales order. You know that on the line we do have, all kinds of information regarding the line. So this is an item here. This is the Paris guest chair. And I can go ahead and see the availability, let's say by event, which is one of my favorite screens in the system, where you can see that we have sales order in here. We got some inventory, and this is actually showing all the availability on a timeline just with the events that are happening. But the point is not to talk about this screen. The point is to talk about something called context-aware user interface. So if I go out of this, and this is an item, and now I'm going to create a line here, but it's not an item, it's a text. So I'll just say, this is a test text. And so this is, of course, going to print out on the line on any order, and even if a user comes in here, they can read that. But if I go into the line, it would not make sense to show the inventory availability for this line because this is not inventory. And if I click on here, it's grayed out. So now it's actually changing based on what line I'm in. Now, related information, you can see half of the stuff is grayed out. Only the stuff that I could actually open, which is not based on the line, but based on the order, will highlight, like dimensions, stuff like that. Actually, I'm curious how dimensions would post on this, and it's interesting that that actually pops up. The comments make sense to me. Anyways, that could be argued back and forth, which one should be highlighted and which one not. But the good part is, it is. Get price here for a text makes no sense. But anyways, in any case, it's definitely a huge improvement to be able to only get the selections that make sense for the line that you're in on these options up here.